Where do you see their ceiling at right now, Dylan?
Western Conference Finals. And I say that obviously with bias because I am a Clippers fan. But I also say that with extreme confidence. Anybody may or may not have been watching the Western Conference Finals last year when the Clippers went to the Game 6 with the Phoenix Suns, who obviously eventually beat them and went on to the finals where they lost to the Bucks. But that Clippers team in the Western Conference Finals, in my opinion, should have beat the Suns.
I don't think the Suns were a good team, so yeah.
The Game 2 valley-oop hurts a lot to watch every time I see it because all it really was a simple mess-up on guarding the inbounder. DeMarcus Cousins, I've been a big Boogie fan in the past. I really have been. But he is not the same player anymore.
No.
And his defense has never been great. And the fact that he can't even properly guard an inbounds pass, and it cost him a game. It caused the Suns to take a 2-0 lead compared to a 1-1 series tie. And then you go in later on in that game, and he can't even miss a free throw on purpose with hitting the rim. He just threw it at the backboard. It was disgusting to watch. I screamed at my television, and I don't really do that a lot. But I was just frustrated watching that because we were just on the cusp so many times. And then knowing that we didn't have Serge Ibaka, who no one ever talks about, and we didn't have Kawhi Leonard in that series. Not to mention that we didn't have Kawhi Leonard to end the series before that, where we went on the road to the Utah Jazz, who were the 1 seed, beat them, closed them out in their home court. Terrence Mann going absolutely insane for 39 points. It's hard to say that they're going to take a step back from that. Like, there's so much confidence there. And when you look at the Clippers and the reports, you don't see any breakage in that group. I mean, it's a pretty tight group anytime you go look at it. I mean, you look at Kawhi Leonard, he's sponsored, he has this new thing. It's a brand merch. It's called Clip Gang or Don't Bang. And at first he was the only one wearing it. And then as of yesterday, team photos come in and there's over half the roster wearing it all at the same time together to go to Golden State where they have their season opener tonight. I mean, it's a pretty tight-knit group, and that goes a long ways in basketball, especially over a course of a long season. The biggest problem with the Clippers is, A, their health right now. Serge Ibaka still isn't back yet because he had to get back surgery. Kawhi Leonard's obviously not back yet. Getting rid of Patrick Beverley is a huge piece to the team's identity because he's been there since the rebuilding of without Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. So moving forward, that's probably their biggest issues. That and the fact that their schedule is extremely tough in terms of traveling right now. But like I said, it's really hard to say that they take a step back. I mean, I go through the list of the teams in the Western Conference, and I see them being a better team and more solid than most out west. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I don't think the West is as highly competitive as the East. Like, I think I could see a lot of teams going to the conference finals in the East, but West, there's just a lot of question marks. But I still think the Clippers hurt a lot without Kawhi, and that'll hurt them in the seeding. And I see them probably not having home court advantage in the first round, and I think that could end up hurting them. And I think their ceiling, even if Kawhi comes back late in the season, because of who they're going to have to face in the first round, a higher-up team, I think the Clippers are a first-round bounce. Hot take.
I can't see him being a first-round bounce. I just
can.
can't. The Mavericks have been tough the last few years on some.
The Mavericks, I don't think that good. They had Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. comes alive every time he plays us, it seems like, and it makes me lose my mind. But regardless, we've won the past 2 years when we've played them. I have them being seeded around 3 to 4. I expect
even without Kawhi this season.
Yeah.
Wow.
With Kawhi, I mean Kawhi's at earliest going to work his way back in February. That's a large chunk this season gone. But if he could work his way back to being able to play consecutive games by the time playoff comes around, I could see the Clippers winning the title. Easily.
Ooh.
Easily. They're just a deep roster. Like, I don't understand the doubt in the Clippers. And maybe it is around the Paul George narrative that people think Paul George can't do this and can't do that. I disagree. Paul George was a dude in that Phoenix series if you go back and watch.
Yeah, I don't get the Paul George hate either, and especially watching his last year in Oklahoma City as an Oklahoma City fan. This was a dude who was a finalist for both the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. He had a bad bubble experience, but
Came back with career numbers.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. I still think the Clippers are a first-round exit.
I can't see it. I just can't see it. I mean, I'm taking him over the Lakers. I'm taking him over the Suns. I'm taking him over the Mavericks. I'm taking him over. I've never been a Jazz fan. They've been such a regular season team just to fall flat on their face over and over.
Nobody hates the Jazz more than you.
I'm not a Jazz fan at all. I don't see it. I don't see the fact that I see him having home court in the playoffs. Like, I think that's something they're going to shoot for. I mean,
I have his team shooting for that.
People underrate the Clippers time and time again, I feel like. And this goes back to the season where we didn't have a star. We went into the season and our best players were Tobias Harris and Danilo Gallinari. And those are two quality players, but you're not going to get anywhere with those two players as your best players. And we trade Tobias Harris in the middle of the season.
Is that when you had Shea?
Yes.
That's why that
was Shea's rookie year. And we go and we are the 8th seed. And a fully healthy KD, Boogie, Steph, Clay, Draymond Warriors team. We push them to 6. We have a 31-point comeback in Golden State's house. I mean, it was remarkable to watch. That is still, to this day, one of my favorite games watching ever. That comeback was insane. It was late at night. I had school the next morning. I was losing my mind over that 31-point comeback. So people underrate them time and time again. But the Clippers just use that as motivation at this point. And I think continuing to do so it's a wrong decision by you.
Now, because I think the reason they get underrated is because last year was the first time in franchise history that they made it past the second round. Didn't win in the conference finals. It was the first time they've ever made it past the second round. Not only do I think they're a first-round exit this year, I think in this Kawhi and PG era, they don't win a single ring.
See, I can't agree with you on that. Kawhi re-signed this offseason. We had PG on an extension last offseason. We have him here for 4 more years, 3 to 4 more years.
That's great.
I don't see anybody else with their window being that wide open.
As long as LeBron's in LA, that's going to be a tough team to beat. Right now, they look. We're going to talk about
as abysmal.
The Nets. If Kyrie gets vaccinated, you're going to tell me they're going to go through Brooklyn.
It's
the Bucks
tough,
right now look good.
Nah, the Clippers are deep. I think still the best bench in the league.
I don't see them getting a ring. I think they've been ringless this whole time.
I think part of the reason they're ringless is, I'm not going to say his name because he was a horrible, horrible owner. But when you own a team that long and you treat them the way that you did, and you just kind of treat them like, oh, I own a team, instead of, hey, I have a chance to get a ring and be an active part of the community. I mean, you look at Steve Ballmer now.
Ballmer's a great owner. Probably one of the best.
One of the best owner in sports. Like, he just invests so much time and money into the Clippers because he wants them to be good. Owning them isn't just a hobby for him like the other guy. And I think that because he was an owner for a long time, and thank goodness he's not there anymore.
100%.
He has no place in the NBA. But, yeah, I mean, Steve Ballmer is doing great things with the Clippers, and I think he's always keeping them competitive. I mean, he's always pushing for the next step, too. I mean, he spent the most money on the NBA in analytics.
Yeah, not going to give the other guy any time to talk about because that's a guy that should be banned from the NBA and doesn't deserve any publicity. But I understand why the team struggled once everything went down. They were probably one of the favorites to win it. And then how do you go out there and play your best with everything going on there? Clippers, my opinion, even right now, great team. I don't see them bringing home a ring this year or anytime in the near future.